Okay, so we'll grab our A pieces together with our C piece, with our screws, which is our C piece, and we'll get some nuts and bolts, and our screws for the longer ones there, and then we're gonna put it on a washer, right? And we're gonna stick this on down into here, line it up with our picture, make sure it's faced and oriented the correct way, which looks like it's to be, and then we will ratchet this down with our ratchet, which is really cool. I think I've never really had a ratchet set with this. This is actually pretty cool. Makes things a whole lot easier when you got a ratchet. So it's a first for me, having a ratchet Allen wrench. Really neat. So we're gonna get this on down. Typically when I like to screw things down, I like to maneuver back and forth, top and bottom. I don't always like to just tighten one thing down and then go to the next. So I like to work it evenly. So get some tightened down on one side and then go work my way back and forth until they're evenly tightened down. Just keeps things from getting like warped in my experience. So, all right, that's pretty snug. So we're gonna move on to the next step, step number 2, which, okay, so this is also telling us too that this needs to be done twice, okay? So what we just did here, putting the C piece on top of the A piece, we need to do that 2 times. So I'll set that one down to the side and I'll just do it again. So we'll lay our piece here down. One, it tells us where to mark it, or where to lay our piece down. See how that 1 is labeled there? And then we'll find our other piece. That's also labeled 1. Depicted in the picture clearly. So all I have to do is just set that on, line it up, set it down. Get my screw, Allen screw and washer. Set down. Set up another one. This seems like a really easy project. And sometimes I just kind of maybe like to try and start finger tightening, but just to kind of make sure I've got my holes and screws lined up. It just makes it a little bit faster. And I follow the same process of making sure that it is top, bottom tight. And yeah, I'm really liking this little Allen wrench. It's pretty cool. And a ratcheted Allen wrench, that's pretty cool. All right, so now I've got these both set into place. I got 2 of these set up now. Let me get this in the camera shot here. Oh, what I'm doing down here. Okay, so I've got 2 of these into place now. Finished with step 1, so I'm gonna move on to step 2. And it says I need to grab the other C piece. So it's telling me I'm working on my corner pieces. Well, this is pretty cool too. Like on this little picture below, it says, hey, this is what you're working on. This is what step is. You're working on these 2 corners. And then step 2 is you're working on the opposite corners, that corner there and this corner here. So that's pretty cool. It kind of lets you know. So right now we're going to step 2, and we're going to find a C piece, lay it on the A piece, and follow the directions that 2 needs to be face down to 2 on your C pieces. So, so let's do that. So I've got 2s here, right? And so what I want to do, there's 2s labeled on the other side of this deal here, on the other side of this 2 there. I'm just going to line it up there, line the other one up there, because I'm actually doing this twice, as directions indicate. I'm going to grab my bolts, some more of these L-sized bolts. These are bolts, screws have a sharper end, bolts have a flatter end, and I got my washers on them too. So let's do the first one. Yep, it's oriented the same way. So you're gonna have this flat end or this open end facing outward, and on the opposite side too, the open end facing outward. That keeps us honest. That keeps us right. So I'm gonna drop that on in there. Okay. Alright. I can't get it turning there. Top's nice and tight. I love this little ratchet thing. This thing's great. It's fantastic. Okay, nice and tight. Okay. Do the same thing for the bottom portion. 2 L pieces or L bolts. And I say L because that's what they are identified in this on the sheet, so I know which bolts I'm grabbing. So I'm grabbing the bolts that are labeled as L with some washers, lining up the holes. Just kind of finger tightening these bolts into a place. Making sure I have that down in there. All right. Top and bottom. Okay. So now that we've got that, 2 pieces, we're done with step number 1 and step number 2 as of right now. And now we're moving on to step number 3. Okay? Now we're moving on to our B pieces. Now these B pieces are actually the ones with the little rim on here, okay? So we've got, this is actually the support for the actual slats, and then the slats are the support for the mattress, okay? So that's what we're working on. So we got our first B piece. So I'm just gonna lay this out here as so. And it says we need to, I'm just gonna do this one at a time, just so we have some good space here. So we've got our B piece laying down there. So it says that our opened end, sorry, I'll show you this here. We are on step number 3 here. You see how this opened end of this leg here? We're gonna match this step 1 to that step 1, and this is our B piece. B piece, find where it's labeled 1, and then also you're gonna lay that 1 on top of that 1 and screw it down. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so there's our 1 there. And I don't know if you can see that. There's a 1 right there. So I'm just gonna lay this on there like so. But I need to be able to screw it. So I'm just orienting this to where I can actually screw it. So now that we've got that laid down there, I'm gonna stand this up here and hold that up there like that, okay? And now I need, what screws do we need? Is it asking us to use on this? Same size, the L length bolts. So grab two more of those bolts, the longer ones, right? And grab two more of the washers, right? Two more washers. I'm gonna place it on the washer. And this is where finger tightening kind of comes in place too, because then you'll know you have it positioned right. And then that way, you still want to support it, but you want to kind of, especially if you're working with yourself on these projects. Got my washer on there. Stick it down in this hole. My ratchet. You get it nice and tight, top and bottom. Okay. So that's that part. Okay, so we got 1 and 1. Remember, we got to do this twice. So that's the first one. As you can see, this is really just mapping out our bed frame here. So I'm gonna stand this up here and bring in our next sections. So I'm looking for my ones. Okay, so I got my 1 there, because remember the other side is actually labeled 2, so you don't want to get it mixed up. So that says 2. We're looking for 1, which is there, because that's what we're working with. 1. Okay, and then also on this one, we're also looking for 1. We don't want 2. We want 1. Okay, so we got our 1 there and our 1 here. 1, 1. Okay, grab some more of our L-size bolts and some washers. So 2 of those. Some more of our washers. As you can see, I'm actually kind of like just standing this up. So that works a little bit better. It's just dropping that bolt in the hole with the washer. Washers are definitely important for stuff like this, because if you got your bolt, your bolt will eventually just go through. It may be there, but it's always good to have a washer. A washer keeps the bolt from going all the way down into the wood. And that's why you use washers for most things. So just finger tightening right now. Tightening, finger tightening. Make sure I got it nice and snug down in there. And I'm gonna take my ratcheted Allen wrench. Okay, got that nice, somewhat tight. And like I said, I always work back and forth on my screws. Screws, bolts, whatever that I'm using. to make it evenly flush, so that way it's completely even. I'm getting it tight on here, so it's nice and secure. All right, so now we're done with step number 3. Okay, so step number 3 is complete. Now we start working with our number 2s. Okay, so I'm gonna set this down, and we're gonna locate our 2s, and I'm gonna do this like this. So we are locating our number 2 there, right? Because it's saying for step number 4, we need to line up our 2s, okay? So our 2 from our flat board, which is that flat board there, there's no ridge on it. That has a ridge. This has a ridge on it to support the slats, and this is flat, didn't have any. So that's what we're looking for. So we're connecting the flat to the thing, or to the flat board to the ridge board, okay? Footboard to the side boards, if you want to call it that. And then that way we have it all complete. And that's what our completed picture should look like when we're done. Okay. All right. So, just reviewing these. Okay. So, okay. So that's a 2, and that's a 2. So we're gonna do that. Line that up there. There. And then we're going to put our bolts in there, and then the opposite side as well. Okay, our 2 there lined up with that 2. So we're going to do that. And then we should have that completed piece there. Okay, let's get it done. So let's work on this corner first, here. So it looks like we're still using the L pieces. L screws there. Bolt there, like so. Bottom bolt. And so you always want to try and get it to where you can pretty much line it up. Yeah. Okay, you got that top one, the bottom one. Okay, I've got them both in there. Okay, working top to bottom. Okay. top, work the bottom, draw it in there evenly. It's always best to kind of have it in there to draw it in evenly. That's why I do top to bottom, top to bottom. That way you have a flush, a flush draw to your, you have a flush draw to your piece there, okay? All right, so, we got that all figured out there. Okay. All right, and then moving on to the back side, grab my 2 bolts, washers. I'm drawing that to that end over here. Top and bottom as always. Bottom up, top, bottom. Shake it nice. Even draw the wood to there. Okay. So we got a good sturdy frame so far. I don't know if you can see that. Got a good frame that we're in right now. Okay, so we've completed step 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we need to do step 5, which step 5, let me show you what we got so far. So we got a nice little frame right now. This is what you should have if you're at this point. You have all your framework together. Okay, and this is a full-size bed, which is fine. And next we're gonna work on section 3, or part 3. See, this picture right here is a little loading because you don't have these pieces in yet, because those are these B pieces. But 6 tells you how to put them in. So it tells you that you're gonna work on these next. So you got this and this. So we're on step 6. We're gonna get 3s and change the size of the bolt, M, using the same washers, grabbing the E's. And so we're gonna grab these guys here. These are my E's. Place one there. And place one here. Okay, get my M size bolts, which are these guys right here, M, these size bolts, using the same washers. These are just extras, remember, and that's the standard Allen wrench that most people give you, but I've really been enjoying this little Allen ratchet thing. This thing's been fantastic. Love it. Okay, so now we need to get some of these M size bolts out. So I need at least 4 of those guys. And I just made a mess with all my nuts and bolts, but that's okay. Okay. So let's get it done. Okay, so I've got my M size bolts. Ratchet. I'm going to stand the bed up some and secure this thing on there. So I just stood the bed up, lifted it up, and lined up my holes here. finger tight turns. Still using our washers. Yeah, you could probably get them in there pretty good finger tight. You know, now here's something that I like to do just to make sure it's all like laying even, is I like to put on both sides. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the next set of bolts for the opposite side, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So I'm just gonna reverse this. On the other side, I'll lift up the other side of the bed. I'm just getting my bolts and washers set up here. And I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. So I'm gonna lift the bed up, line up my holes. Let my legs stand straight up and down. Okay. Line up my holes. And get them in there to where they can tighten, finger tight. Just kind of wiggle them a little bit, move them around a little bit. You should be able to get them in there pretty good finger tight. All right, so now it's kind of a more stable platform, so when you're screwing these down, it's not so wibbly wobbly on you, okay? So let's do that. Let's go back to screwing that one in. Using our fabulous Allen ratchet, which I love. Okay. Me going back and forth and tightening. And then off to the other side. Tightening the other side. This thing deal here together. Doing that deal. Okay, so that is step number 6 complete. Now we're moving on to step number 7. So let's take a look at it. Okay. Step number 7 says we need to take our, our D piece and lay it on top of our F piece, okay? And it looks like we're working on this centerpiece here. This centerpiece here that has 3 legs on it. So M bolts, so the same size we've been using. So we're gonna do this 3 times. So we're gonna find 3 of these bolts, 3 of these legs, and get it done. Okay, so here's this longer piece. It has 1, 2, 3 holes in it, which is good. So 1, 2, and then 3 holes. And then these are our 3 legs. And we got our bolts. 3 are bolts. Oh, those are not the right size bolts. Let's see. Okay. All right. So now we got our 3 bolts. So let's get it done. Okay. So we're gonna bring this guy right in the middle, and there's 2 sides to this thing. Let's see if it tells us which way to orient this thing, if we should be up or down with this black piece. Should we be this side up or this side up? On the instructions, I am seeing that the metal part needs to be up versus this side, which I'm not altogether sure I want to do that, because it would make more sense to have this, because this is like a soft deal versus this is kind of tough. And so if I put this down on this, it actually kind of acts as a rubber gasket, which is good. So we're gonna go with black side down. and line it up that way versus metal to metal. Maybe that's what they were going with. It's unclear here. The only picture I'm seeing is that it needs to be the black side down, meaning that it's going to line up and lay on top of these legs. So maybe they just need to be more cleared on that. So I'm going to go with black side down just because it's just unclear. And I would assume that this is for gasketing, but why would they have it through the whole strip if they don't need it on the whole strip? And then we're using washers. And metal on metal's okay. And I don't know if this is better for wood to support. So thinking through this, metal on metal is not going to hurt, but metal on wood, I'm going to save this for our slat side. So actually I'm going to go metal side down, okay, and just put bolts to the top. Now if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I think it'd be more beneficial for the wood than the metal to have this down. So maybe we can read through the notes and see if there's any notes on this. But I don't know, I'm not seeing any. I'm not seeing any notes. Let me see on this other thing if there's any notes written on this. Let's say return policy, no special notes.